just out here feeding my chickens, and I noticed this is the first one that I noticed. See that? See, you don't know the value of that, because if you knew the value of that, you'd eat it. You'd eat this little guy right here. He's so amazing. But I guess you guys don't need it. God made it for us. Super excited. Soon I'll have lots of these around here. What are you doing trying to bite my finger? Want more of a treat? Oh boy. Started a few minutes ago and I went in the house to change because the weather's going to be warm today. This morning was kind of chilly, so I dressed for it. But man, working out there, and especially in the heat that we're going to get today, you get hot pretty fast. So I went and put on some shorts, and the chickens are over there, and I'm going to show you what is going on here. This is what's going on. I got this mess here with the chickens, and I got to take care of this problem. That's going to be another project for another day. So I'm not working on this project. I'm working on this one because this one is in direct access to my driveway, and it's seen from the street, and it's a big problem. So when I moved here, this house was abandoned for over a year. And there was lots of weeds in here, and it took me a long time to get the weeds out, and they were still coming up. So what I did was I put a tarp and then mulched over it, but the tarp is falling apart now, and when the chickens scratch here, you can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the tarp out and mulch it really heavily, but I'm also going to get rid of these logs that were put here because these things got expensive. Take out the ones from this one here, and I'm going to use those, or it could all look cohesive with the front. And then I bought some plastic landscaping for this area. And this area too is a big problem because now the chickens scratch. And I leave all of this here for as a mulch for this area. So the chickens have been scratching. That's another project that's not going to be today. This is my main focus today. I'm trying to cut the tarp, and they don't leave me alone. You don't leave me alone. You keep coming around. I got a blade in front of me. You gotta move. They're waiting for grubs because I was digging here under the tarp. There was this giant grub like this. And man, they snatched it and took it away. Now they're back thinking that I gave them the grub, but I didn't give them the grub. The grub just came out of the ground. They started pecking me. It's a big fountain here, and I do not feel like lifting it. And I know the tarp is underneath, so I have to cut around the fountain in order to get this tarp out. What happens is this tarp starts to fray, and then the strings show. Chickens have been scratching, and they're going to continue. So I just have to change my plans for this and get rid of this and just be on top of this with the weeds. Evie, what is down there that you're so desperate? There she goes. Oh, she got a worm, and she ran away with it in her mouth. Look at it. She's running with the worm. So this is what they're after. They're after the worms down here. This is what I ended up doing, is removing the blue tarp. I got rid of that. I got rid of all of those logs that break up, and they make a mess here no matter what. You cannot use those logs because with sun, they're just going to break up. And I'm going to be moving these plants today over here to the sun, and then my neighbor gave me some really nice plants. I'm going to put them in here too because they fill up. So all of the logs that were over as borders for the beds, I'm bringing them over to the compost. Now I had this compost that I put into the garden. It was an old compost, so I'm going to fill it up with all of this broken wood. I'm breaking it apart so it can decompose and make soil. I'm letting that one rest. What are you doing in the compost? If I can break some of this wood, is really soft, but if I can break it, I can. If I had a tool, I could probably come back later and break it even more, but for right now, it's getting hot out now, and I have to go in the house. I don't work during the hot parts of the day because it just it takes away my energy. So see, a lot of this wood is already rotten, so this will make good compost underneath. The worms can hide under here, and they can make a house for themselves underneath this wood, especially if it gets cold. So I'll come back later with a hammer and try to whack some of those, but that'll be tonight when it's not as warm as it is now. So So I filled up 3 buckets of wood, which is good. Okay, and all the bits too. I think we'll get the other bucket. I have 1 more bucket left to go get. About 88 degrees today, so I'm trying to get this done as early as I can in the morning before noon. And then at noon I go in the house and do all my computer work till about 3. Then 3 I have my dinner. Well, I start cooking at 3. And I'll sit till like 5. Watch some TV, maybe a movie, maybe read. And then after 5 I'll come back out when the sun is not as intense, and I'll be working over there. The chickens made this a mess, so it doesn't work this anymore. So I'm going to collect all of these rocks, putting them in my wagon and putting them down here in the mailbox where I am developing something new for the mailbox. This morning to get this part done. I took all the pavers out of here and put them up at the front because they look nicer there. They don't really need to be here. And guess who's visiting me? And somebody is pecking me. You want attention? Just taking the weeds out, and then I'm gonna put this in there. And that's the same thing I did over in that area as well. He just pecked me. This is fine here, but I'm going to put this to separate this part. So this part here grows grass. And then this part looks really messy. So what I want to do is just put stones here. So eventually what I'm going to do is fill this with stones, rocks, and hopefully we won't have any more problems. Now this area here, I'm going to have to fence off with a small little fence so the chickens can't get in there, because what they do is they scratch in here, and then what's going to happen is going to look messy because all of the mulch is going to fall into the rocks, and it's going to be impossible to clean up. So that's my plan, is to eventually put like a little fence area here so they can't get into this area, and that way I can plant some nice flowers. Last year they came and they ate some of my plants from here. I'm trying to work on my borders this year so that the chickens are not destroying everything that I'm working to make the house look pretty. These chickens always causing a havoc. If Pickett is not here because she's over at the coop, it's early in the morning and I have to take advantage of the shade over here at this side of the house in the morning. As you can see, I can't work in the front because there's a lot of sun up at the front, but this area I'm pretty good till about, I'm going to say till about 11:30, 12. Then I'm starting to get some sun here. So I'm just going to pull all of these weeds here so I can lay this in there. What are you crying about? You're not the one that's working here. Move to this property behind the shed. There's like a mound of rocks, big rocks, and I've been using them around the property, and there's still tons back there. So what I'm going to do is go back there and dig them out, and hopefully I'll have enough for this area. I think there's going to be plenty back there. They're just going to be dirty, but eventually I will wash them. So I think I am going to have to remove some of the soil from here anyway, in order to the rocks are not like lifted up from the cement. They're kind of at the same level as the cement. So we'll see how that. I have a lot of outdoor projects to do. I like to have a really good breakfast because then I don't eat again until dinner time, which is usually around 4 o'clock. So what I'm having today is croissant. Now I buy my croissants at Costco, and since I was there this week, I like to buy the big boxes of croissants. They're like $5.99. They're my favorite. What I have here right now is some smoked salmon with some onion that I'm just slightly warming up. And I'm gonna make myself a breakfast sandwich with that. So my salmon is done. So I'm gonna put this, and then I'm gonna put some spices on here. All right, so I'm gonna finish putting up the onions. It smells so good. I don't buy a lot of like pre-made spices, but I do like this one from Aldi, and I don't use it a lot, but when I have salmon sandwiches, I do like this. It's got a little bit of salt in it. I already put cream cheese on my bread, so I'm not going to put any mayo, but I do have vinegar, white vinegar, and olive oil, and some spices in here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of that, and that's just going to give it really good flavor. And there's my sandwich. I already heated up this bread on my skillet. That was one of the first things I did. I always have frozen fruit in my freezer, and so I have some frozen strawberries and some, a little, like a third of a banana and some coconut water. So I'm going to make sure this is closed and I get that started. Here's my smoothie and my sandwich, and I have my eggs boiling over there for a snack later today. And then I'm gonna get outside and get to work. You look alive this morning. You are so excited for this sandwich. Look at that, it looks so good. Oh my gosh, it's so nice and warm and flaky. Those logs that were here that you saw in the compost, and I put this in. So I wasn't filming that because my phone was charging. I still have to weed whack over here and mow the grass this week. So I ended up using all the, these were all the pavers that were around here. And then that side had logs and logs here, but the logs withered and they were just a mess. So I moved that. I'm gonna eventually cover this so the chickens can't get in there. So I did plant some plants that my neighbor gave me, and some others had survived the winter. And then I moved some others. I'll be buying some more in the next few days. Then here my roses are coming in, which is great. So I ended up putting the pavers here. I'm gonna move that donkey today. End up moving it to that side because there's not a lot of sun there. Then I was able to do, from the area that I'm doing now, I'll show you that. I took the pavers out and I ended up putting them here as a second row. So hopefully if the chickens scratch, there won't be too much that comes out. We'll see, we'll test it, but I like it better like this. So I have one row there. The centerpiece is here, which is 2 rows. And then this side is the same, and I'm gonna be planting stuff in here. But before I can get to planting in here, I have to clean this beds up. I have to also be removing the stones from here because that doesn't work here anymore. So I used a lot of the stones in the mailbox. I'll show you the mailbox, what I did yesterday. So you can see the mailbox. I put pavers around the mailbox, got rid of all those dead logs that were just falling apart, and then I filled all the stones in the mailbox area. See, the black looks a lot nicer, cleaner. It looks way cleaner now here, way cleaner. I just have to weed whack because there's a lot of grass there. Now this lamp I'm going to end up painting also this year. This is actually the same thing that I want to do over there with the stones, and I want to put all of that with stones there, fill that area, the same thing that I did here. Now I bought this roll. This was 50 feet long from Amazon. I'll link it down below. That's the roll right there. I'm just unrolling it and putting it in, and then I have all that mulch from the Airstream that's there that I'm going to end up using around the property. And then what I'm going to do is put pavers over there, finish off the paver area, because eventually when the Airstream goes, my RV is going to be over here, and I want this to be like a sitting area, an outdoor kitchen area. All of those pavers that are here right now, I don't need them anymore, and I actually want some pretty plants growing over here. I have lots of ferns that just show up, and I thought, what the heck? I've got it easy. Ferns like to grow here, and some shady plants, so I'm going to let that, and I know it's going to have a nice sitting area for me here in the shade. I have this view here, which is amazing. When it's super sunny and I can't sit there, I'll have this area here to sit in the morning. So I love that. So slowly I've been cleaning up this place. It's all coming together. Cutting it with the tin snips. It's really simple with the tin snips, just to cut it. What I did was I tucked it in here where I want it to be. And I'm going to put in the last one. Are you pecking me? Why are you pecking my shirt? Hey, stop pecking me. I'm going to give you your food. Just give me a second. I'm almost done. Oh my goodness. I got some crazy chickens here that want to peck me because they want their food. I just want to get done with this. I'm going to go inside. Once I get this done, I'm not going to fill it or anything yet. I'm just going to... Where's my hammer? Here it is. So I've been hammering in the things here. Are you trying to take my stuff? Okay, so I got the end one is important, and I ran out. This is my last one, so I'm just gonna put this one here because I know the chickens like to come down here under this tree, and when it's hot and they've been out, so I'm gonna need reinforcement here. So when I get to Home Depot, I'm gonna buy some more of these. Why are you pecking me? Why are you pecking me? Hey, stop pecking me. You're still hungry. I know, I said I was coming. I was gonna feed you girls now, I promise. Pretty good size that I have left over. I'm gonna say probably in this roll, I probably have like 15 feet left over. And that's gonna be good for maybe this section over here when I end up putting the gravel. I might have to put some of this in order for the gravel not to go where the grass area is. So this worked out great. 50 feet, I think it was 100 or 50 feet, I don't know. I'll link it down below. Let's go inside. I'm gonna get your food, and I need you girls to be in your run and lay your eggs because I'm doing my work, and it's time for you girls to do your work too. Good morning, everybody. I am going to be busy today finishing up more landscape projects on the property. I'm actually going into the garage to get an old can so that I can scoop up some old coffee can. I save coffee cans. They're great here on the homestead. I use them for tons of things, and I'm always buying these big Kirkland brand coffee. I drink the decaf because I don't need caffeine. But anyway, I'm going to use this can so I can collect some rocks, and I'm going to be working on that project with the rocks today. I could use a shovel, but it's backbreaking work, and I've been at this for about 3 to 4 days now, and I'm just exhausted. I had to take a break yesterday and just stop what I was doing because I was so tired. Put on my sun hat because I've been getting a lot of sun in my face, and the worst thing for old age is that. So let's see where we're at here. Okay, so we're going to start on the landscaping project here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of all of this grass and a lot of the soil that's here because I'm going to be putting rocks here. That's important for me to get that done today because it's going to be partly sunny today and it's going to be pretty fairly cool. And then next week my tenants are moving out of the property, and I'm going to have to go in there and clean it up because I'm putting the house up for sale. I want to pull out of the rental business away from my home, and eventually I'll talk about some of the things that I plan on doing here with the money. It's going to include rental as well, but on my 3 acres. So, but that'll be for a video for another day. So another thing I did was I put a bigger trash can here for collecting water. So what I'm going to do here first, I'm going to remove some of this grass, some of this soil that's here, and then I'm going to go to the back and get the rocks and move them over here and use my coffee can. Dirt, I found this little guy, and my chickens love this stuff. And the 2 girls are over there trying to lay their egg, and Avi's all by herself. Come here, Avi. I'm gonna give you a treat. Here, Avi. Here. Come here, Avi. Here, Avi. Oop. She ran with that. She knows that's a wanted prize. Did you gobble that up? You didn't even chew it. You're such a glutton. Oh, I emptied the buckets out over by the garden because I plan on planting some pumpkins over on the other side of the garden this year. And I'll make some beds over there near the garden. But I got my buckets. I'm coming back here so you can see all the stones that are here. I'm gonna get cracking. I'm gonna fill these buckets and then I'm gonna go dump it over there. place. My bucket is here. One bucket. This was the one I filled halfway. I brought my wagon so I can get the other ones. I'll cut the plastic. I'll shape the plastic after this is in. Only because that's the easiest way with the wind to get it in place. Then it'll hold it in, and then I'll be able to cut that. The weeds and stuff, I'll get those later. So this is what it's looking like. I'll cut the plastic, but you see right here, my plastic is not wide enough. And that's going to be a problem area. So if I don't cut some of this plastic and fit it in there underneath, and then I'm going to have weeds there. What I should do is make sure that the plastic goes all the way to this side, because I can cut a piece over there. Got my Missy over here. She's watching what I'm doing. So this last bunch from the bucket has a lot of dirt in it, so I'm just going to just move the rocks over. Next time that I dump the bucket, I have to keep that into account, that the bottom is always going to have all the soil. I got a curious chicken that's here. Tiny ones are good for the corners. Here come the other girls. Where's Avy? She's by herself. So I'm going to go get the colander so that I can sift through all of this. There's a lot of dirt where I'm getting down there, so I'm gonna have to sift that. All right, so I went in the house and had some breakfast, put the chickens away because they started scratching over near the area where I was working, and I didn't want to mess. So the sun's trying to come up, and I just decided to, instead of being over there, there's shade on this side, so I'm gonna collect more stones, but I'm gonna be working on this side now. Especially around the borders, I want to get rid of the stones. When I mow the grass, a lot of times I get up close here, and a lot of this stuff, I know the chickens have been scratching, and that's why it's like out here, and I have to get this cleaned up, because when I come in with the mower, I like to come in nice and tight around here, and all of these rocks have to go. So I'm going to get to that. I didn't get all the sand out, the soil and sand out of them. This is working much better doing it this way here. Then I'll just sift it, get rid of those little sticks and stuff. That way I don't have the mess over by the driveway.
You see these rocks? They make everything look so neat and clean. So many different shapes, kinds, and colors. Just like the different types of Christians there are in the world. See, some of them don't have a strong footing, and if I am not careful walking alongside these, I can fall with them. Some, I realize, are just there to support the others, but still they can move and become slippery. If the bottom one is firm, then the top may slip a bit, but I won't fall. There are different types of people in the church because the church follows the world. There are those that are slippery, there are those that follow along, and there are those that help rise up the others to steady them. The slippery ones don't follow the word. The follow-along types just go to church to fill a weekly tradition so they feel better. But the lower ones truly help rise others to steady them on a firm foundation of God's Word. Jesus said he was the cornerstone. That's the principal corner rock, one of the longest and most solid and carefully placed, so that it lays a foundation for all others. It provides stability for the entire system. So, which rock are you?
Finished product. Now these are old solar lights that don't work anymore, but I don't care because they still look nice during the day, and that way I didn't have to spend money on stakes. Over in the front, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to buy new lamps because I just had these and I didn't want to buy stakes because these look prettier than just some old wooden stakes. And then I finished this over here. Now the only thing I have to do is put the border on here, but I have to buy some pins. And then I have to mulch all this, but I also want to do some planting in here. So hopefully this will get to keep the chickens away from going in there. And especially from being really close to the edge. If they do their thing inside, I don't mind so much. But over here, the borders, I don't like. So that is really easy to do. And I just love the way that it looks.
Super excited because I am going to harvest this little beauty. I'm going to harvest this little beauty right now. This is my cabbage, my first cabbage, and I'm going to harvest here. Wow, this is going to be hard to pick up. This whole thing is coming out. It's like so heavy that it's just like ready to topple over. Trust it. Well, I think the whole thing is coming out with me. And this knife is not very sharp. I have to sharpen it. The best that I could, rinsing it off, but still a lot of dirt. I'll bring it in the house and chop that off with a better knife. And then we're gonna get cooking. So I washed it. I'm hanging it here. Oh, by the way, I cut the root out. I put that in my compost. So I'm letting it drain here because it's wet. I had to wash it. But I do have some of the leaves, the outer leaves I'm going to use today. And then for the rest of the week, I'll have this giant cabbage to feed my chickens and for my own good pleasure as well. Here's my plate with the cabbage. I only took a couple of leaves from the outside and I made some noodles with some salmon. There's garlic and onion in here, and this is going to be a really nice bowl for dinner. Chicken's got a treat also with some of these leaves. Hey, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.